So I made a video recently that showed that I'd lost a significant amount of body weight within a very short period of time. I said I would do this video a couple of days later because it would involve the normalizing of my body, and as it turns out, I lost 5 kilos of body fat, not body weight, body fat, within 2 weeks. So this is Friday, and I stopped on Monday. So that's a true body weight right there. That's an absolute true body weight. I've been eating back perfectly normal. The way I did that was through fasting. And what this video is it's going into details about how I did the fasting myself, my own personal experience with it, but it's also far more, it's going to be based on what is the science behind fasting, the health benefits, and why it works, how it works. Now, as there's going to be several points during this, and they're going to be, people might be only interested in certain aspects of it, if you go and see into the description, I am going to timestamp where I'm making certain points and at what time I'm doing that, so you can just click through to the things that you actually want. As well as in the description, I'm going to give all the references to various different things that I wouldn't say cited, but the things that I know of and how I applied them. So they're going to go through some documentaries that you can watch, some books that you can read, and some people who are big pushers of fasting, some scientists that are going to be on certain podcasts, and you can look into that. So all of these things are done through science. It's not just someone's opinion. It's something that is backed up by research. So starting off, I'm going to keep with the science. Now, I'm only using this video as a way to try and siphon people into learning more about this sort of thing. So I really would prefer it if people went into details into the description, particularly the Horizon documentary, because that is both entertaining and it goes into quite a few different realms, and it's a really good way to sort of get people interested and wanting to dig through and find out what is the best way for them personally to do it themselves. Now I'm going to go through how I personally did it, so hopefully that acts as an anecdotal but relatable way that you can do it yourself, because that's what I'm really trying to push here. So some basic biology of how your body works when you are eating something is quite simple. You have, this is simplified, but let's just say you have 3 stores of energy. So when you ingest food and it gets digested, it ends up being, sort of going through a cycle of where it ends up as sources of energy. The first one is sugar in your blood. This is glucose. The second one is sugar in both your liver and in your actual muscular tissues. This is glycogen. Then the third one is body fat. Now, the way it breaks it down is if you just think of it as cooking. The energy that you're using straight away is the cooking that you have out on your counters and you're making your meal with it. The glycogen, that's in your tissues and in your liver, that's in the fridge. And then body fat, that's in the freezer. Now, there's a few different ways that people fast, but generally it follows the same principle. So you no longer have food that you are cooking, so you go to the fridge. When you are empty with the fridge, you put the stuff that is in your freezer into the fridge, and then from the fridge, that's how it siphons off. That's how we lose weight in any scenario. So anything that the fitness industry might say about how you need to use fewer calories, it all comes down to what's commonly known as a deficit, a caloric deficit. It just means throughout the day, you are burning more calories, you are using more calories than you are taking in. The rest of that you need to have a small meal a day, that's just complicated nonsense. Not ingesting calories, it's what makes you lose weight, body fat. Exercising increases how many calories you are using, but the most important thing is that you don't eat as many calories. That is how people lose body fat. Now, to break that down, if you run 10 kilometers, you'll lose about, you will use about 800 calories, and that includes the time of day that you spent actually out there, that hour. If you're sitting, you're still burning calories as long as you're not ingesting more food. Now, 800 calories is You know, if you put the right amount of things in it, it's just a normal meal. So going out for a huge run that's very tiring versus not having a meal, which one's easier? Once you get used to it, the meal is a lot easier. Trust me on that one. So to go back to that whole fridge, freezer, cooking analogy, your body does the exact same thing. The blood that is in your, the sugar that is in your blood, when that starts running low, your body then takes it out. It starts burning the fat, okay? The sugars that are in your muscles and your liver, they don't usually use them straight away in that sort of an order. When they use them is when your blood sugars run low, when you are exercising, when you are using the muscles, then it starts chewing into them. Now, that does not mean that you lose muscular tissues. Now, if ever you've heard of hitting the wall when people are talking about exercise, what that refers to is when you have run out of the sugars that are in your body, and your body has to start burning the fat. Now, the fat, like my reference, is in the freezer, so it's harder to start cooking that straight away. Some things have to go into the middle of it. You got to defrost it in some way. You know, normally people defrost them overnight and they just mellow like they normally would, but sometimes you might have to throw them into the oven straight away and then wait for them to sort of ice up so you can then break it down and separate it. Microwave, same sort of thing. Your body does something that's a little bit similar to that. That's why we slow down if we're running and we get to an hour and we've used the sugars that are in our body. We've got to find a new way to do it. Now, most of the time people do it with a sports drink. That's why there is reasons to do that if you are running a marathon, if you are playing a sporting activity that lasts longer than 60 minutes, which is, you know, most of them. But if you want to lose weight, you've got to, and you're going for an longer than an hour. That's why it's so difficult. It's not because it's like, oh, I haven't eaten today. It's because now you've run out of the sugars in your body, the glucose in your body, or the glycogen in your body, and now your body is working extra hard to try and burn fat, which is not made to burn instantly while you're working. Now, that's exclusively talking about while exercising while fasting, which is not unhealthy. In fact, it's quite healthy. If you want to make sure that you retain as much muscle as possible, because while people say the fasting ends up eating up your muscles first, it's 99% horseshit. The simple way that you can think about it, you don't even have to look up stuff about this. As hunter-gatherers, do you think it would be beneficial for when you are hungry, for when you have not eaten, you haven't caught a meal in a while, that your body starts breaking down the things that are used to throw spears, to catch up to prey? Would it be good to break that stuff down? No, it uses the fat because that's what it's there for. It breaks down the fat, the storage of energy, and off it goes. There's actually some research to show that when you're fasting, I can't remember what they're called now off the bat, but the things within your brain that connect to each other, that act as bridges sort of to get information faster, increase. It's one of the few ways that actually happens. So day to day, if people are talking about having low energy, there is some truth to that, because food is a habit. And there's actually, I can't remember who it was, they made a point about how unless food was not essential to the body, it could be looked at the exact same as any addictive substance like cocaine, heroin, because your body goes through the exact same mental things when you are not eating your food in the normal habit that you do. So let's say you've always eaten 3 meals a day. If as you start not eating during breakfast, your body will go crazy. It'll start craving. You'll get in a poor mood, and the rest of it. I'm sure everyone has experienced this sort of thing where you've skipped a meal and you're not used to that sort of thing. It is a really negative experience. So the fast that I did myself was a 2 5-day fasts. Now, there's the 5-2 diet, which involves 1 small meal twice a week. So 5 days of the week you eat normally, and then basically you lose 4 meals within the week, and you can spread those 2 days over as much as you possibly can, or as much as you want to, and you can get rid of your dinner and your lunch, or you can keep your breakfast, you can keep your nighttime. People are different. That's up to personal preference. Intermittent fasting just means that you have a set period, a window where you eat. So some people have a 4-hour window. You know, you only eat from 6 to 10, and all sorts of stuff like that. I think this is by far the easiest way because you don't have to do it every day. I went for the 5-day fast and then broke the fast and then did another one afterwards, which is fine. The reason that this is healthy, and again, I encourage you to go into the description because I'm going to keep this very simple. I don't want to have this video too long and too boring. But if you think of your body and food like a desk, think of it as someone comes in and they put down papers and you start going inbox, outbox, and delivering the papers. When someone is feeding you, this is food, coming in and feeding your desk, you don't have time to do anything else other than deal with the food, deal with the desk work, and put it into the inbox, outbox being the toilet. So now imagine that you're no longer getting those pieces of paper that you have to go through with your desk work, your office work. What would you do with your desk? Your desk would probably be a bit dirty. It would be unorganized and unclean. So now, if you've got nothing better to do and you're a proper worker, and you don't have a phone to distract you, which you're probably doing right now, you'll start cleaning up your desk. You'll look through your drawers and think, oh, I don't need that, I don't need that, and I don't need that. Your body does almost the exact same thing. This is also a way that you lose weight where it's not actually body fat. It also breaks down. This sounds negative, but it's brilliant. It looks through your organs and it goes, well, that's damaged. That's actually not working that well. That pipe is a bit loose. Well, let's get rid of that tissue and let's either ingest it or just get rid of it. Because your body now has this free time with not having to digest things. So it looks around and, it does an analysis. It goes top to bottom and it goes, we don't need that. That's busted. Let's replace that. And it starts looking through. And that's where the health benefits come from. It's not just losing weight and the knock-on effect of that. This is actually why I would advise that regardless of whether you are overweight or overweight, or you're not overweight, if you're a normal weight and you're perfectly healthy, do one of these once a year. Again, if you look at the Horizon documentary, the host, who is a scientist himself, he's a doctor, he does this. And he talks to scientists who push the whole 1 year, do quite a long fast. Afterwards in the story, he says, all right, that's too hard for me. I don't like it. And so he ends up doing the 5-2 diet because throughout the documentary, he tries different things. He talks to different people and he tries the 5-2 diet and he sticks with it at the end. It doesn't go into how long he stuck with that for, but he said that he had it for like 4 weeks up to the point where he's making the new recording, and he was saying it was very manageable, and on he went with it. Now, something that I forgot to mention is while I'm trying to push the whole fasting movement, that's how it's so fast to quickly lose weight. There are some exceptions to the people that should look into fasting. Everybody should look into it before they start doing it, to get a sort of a ballpark figure of what would work best for them. But more importantly, certain diseases, if you have certain diseases, you should not be fasting. One of them being diabetes type 1. However, diabetes type 2 has been shown to have gotten a lot of great benefits from doing fasting, but they are specific fasts. So most people, if you just have a normal amount of, if you're a normal healthy person, you can go, all right, the 5-2 sounds good, but that one you only have to do once a year, and maybe I'll try the intermittent fasting. You can pick and choose, but type 2 diabetes, you have to do a bit of your own research and find out where you fit in. Pregnancy, again, same thing. Generally, don't do it. But if you really want to try it while pregnant, I would not advise it, but do your research. Everyone should do their research. There's a lot of good stuff that I'm posting within the description, but particularly if you have any sort of a long-term disease or if you are pregnant. But do remember, don't be discouraged because you have a long-term disease. I have cancer. This is good for my disease. So now we're going to get into my own personal experience and my own personal opinion on things. I think we'll start with the opinion on why fasting has such a sort of a stigma to it. And I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Same way with how fat got a really negative view in the world, and saturated fat is poison for you, blah blah blah, eat low fat food, and it was actually about the sugar company trying to change the research in order to make it seem as though fat is bad, you'll put on weight, when actually sugar is far worse. And they use the whole 1 gram of fat is 9 calories and 1 gram of sugar is 4 calories. And so they put it into the weight loss movement, which actually makes people gain weight. So I think that there's a lot of that. I think a great deal of it stems from the fitness industry as well. I work within the fitness industry, and even when you're talking to someone who is well knowledgeable and a good person, they mean well for their clients or the people that they're dealing with, they are still fixated upon this idea of consuming certain foods at certain times, the golden window of protein, like you need to have this much, make sure you're drinking, what is it, not kerosene, casein protein at night, because just a lot of it is horseshit. But the reason that they sort of pushed is because no one makes money. No one makes money. And that has a cycle effect where companies are pushing the idea of diet, and this is the kind of diet food which we also happen to sell, or supplements, saying like this. Well, supplements in general are almost always bullshit in the fitness industry. Creatine, caffeine, everything else, don't worry about it. Don't have pre-workout ever. Have a cup of coffee. It has more antioxidants in it. It's probably better for you anyway. What is it? Fucking branched chain amino acids. Don't be drinking that. You probably get in your diet enough anyway. Like protein, most people get enough protein anyway. Even if you're vegan, you probably get enough protein. So again, don't be drinking all this stuff inside gyms. Horse shit. It is all horse shit to try and get people to buy products. Don't do it. Look into it. Look into it from a source that's not myprotein.com and find out the truth behind this. Creatine, caffeine, yes. Creatine is cheap. It is cheap because everyone sells it because it works. Anyway, so there's people that are pushing products at you because they get paid when they sell them themselves. There are some people that don't get paid for that sort of thing, but they're just pushing on the advice of, oh, you should have 5 meals a day and that sort of thing. This is just because, similar to religion, they're taught this or they learn this and they just keep pushing it because it worked for them. And when you say you're actually in the wrong and you give them something completely different to what they are used to and what has worked for them, you know, you can get some personal trainers or whatever who are jacked. And so when you start telling them, well, actually the golden window of protein is completely a load of shit. It doesn't matter when at all you eat during the day, because the only time that your body heals and recovers the muscles is when you go to sleep. So it makes no difference whatsoever whether you're drinking the whey protein during the day, which gets into your digestive system faster, and that's why you have the casein at night, because it's slower to digest, so therefore your body always needs a source of protein to pick. Bullshit! It's bullshit! Look it up with science. Don't look it up with fucking Flex magazine, because they need to sell things. Then either the personal trainers need to sell things, or the people online need to sell things, and they have a connection with some company that you're not realizing, or they've been buying these products their whole lives. They've been living like this their whole lives, and it's difficult to digest. That's the only joke I'll insert into this. It's difficult to digest that they've actually been like shoveling shit their entire life, and even though it worked out for them because they worked out loads and etc., they had a healthy diet over a long period of time and they've gotten in really good nick. They've been pushing this thing to people and living by it themselves, and so they don't want to accept that that's what happened. So Everyone is guilty of this in some regard. I'm sure I am. If someone came around and said actually lifting weights is bad for you, I'd struggle to accept that for quite a while. Or yeah, running is not the way to win a marathon. You should be swimming. Like you know, I'd be here to shut the fuck up. That's not true. It would take me quite a while to break down something that I have lived my entire life believing in. And so that's why I'm saying that it's similar to religion. When people start getting to it now, well, there's actually evidence to show that, or just a logical argument of, well, you know, how come that? I'm not getting into that. I'm not kidding. So I'm going to explain my own personal experience with the fast that I went on. Hopefully I mentioned this, but the intermittent fast and the 5-2, which is a form of intermittent fasting, it doesn't get the whole desk analogy thing. It doesn't get those benefits because it has to take a while. Your body has to not be ingesting anything, and it has to be not, like, you know, still processing your food and shitting it out. It has to be completely free before your body starts breaking down the tissues that are incorrectly operating, and that takes a couple of days to actually happen. So I wanted to do, for both the health benefits to the shitty condition that my body is in, despite the fact that I look normal. Now, normally with the sort of the water fasting, something that you do need to remember that is easy to forget is when you eat food, both the food itself, like think about an apple, the food itself contains a load of moisture, it contains a load of water. And then often, while you're eating food, let's take chicken for an example, which, you know, squeeze a chicken. Does a lot of grease come out? Grease is based with water. When you ingest the chicken, you'll often have a glass of some sort of a drink with it to wash it down. So those are two large sources of water. And oddly enough, you end up going through the day and you're not thirsty when you should actually be drinking water. So have some sort of an alarm, just maybe once an hour. I do a load of things every hour and just have a little watch that just goes off every hour, just goes beep. And with fasting, have a small amount of water throughout the day because it helps your body run better. I'm not going to go further than that. It helps your body run better. Now, energy levels. This is something that comes up quite a lot when people start talking about fasting and how, oh, I just couldn't be able to have the energy of that. I was literally talking to my nurse, my oncology nurse specialist, about how would I be able to go on a fast while on certain medications that they're going to have. They're going to have me of I'm already starting on a cycle of the of chemotherapy medication, and I called them up and I asked them, is this safe enough to do? And they said, yeah, food ingestion actually has to be avoided while at the thing, but you need to be worried about energy levels. Energy levels, kept mentioning this, which goes to show that there's so much stigma to fasting to do with energy levels that even a nurse is saying, oh, well, you know, while you're fasting, you don't have the same normal energy levels as you would, so, you know, you might not have, you know, anyway. Energy levels, the way they work biologically, just quickly go back to this, oxidize the fat when you are running low. It has little alarms. It says, all right, our blood sugar is low. Let's start ingesting the fat. If you're not exercising, that's not difficult to do. It keeps that regular amount of glucose level within your bloodstream. You could go into a doctor at any time during a fast, unless you are completely out of body fat to oxidize, and it would have a normal amount of blood sugar within your circulatory system. Now, where would it change? If you are exercising. So if I would exercise for more than an hour intensely, then it would probably hit me like, you know, like a train. It would like, poof. In short periods, I'm not going, oh my God, I can't do 20 because my body is completely drained of energy. It is in your head. It is in your head. It is deeply in your head because it is a habit. It is a strong habit. Your energy levels are in your head a lot more unless you're using a very large amount of exercise. So it is advisable while you are fasting that your body is using all of its muscles, because then it tells the body, we are still using these, don't break them down. Normally, your body will do that. If you've done loads of bicep curls for 3 months,
You get bigger ones, you get stronger ones. But afterwards, your body will then go, okay, well, we don't need these large muscles because they are using up energy. We need to conserve the energy. Your body is constantly trying to conserve energy. That's why marathons and things like that are hard. Fitness classes are hard because your body go, no, don't use the energy, don't use the energy. And you've got to have your mind to go, no, we need to do this, we're chasing an animal at the moment. You need to get over that. You need to tell your body to get over that. We're trying to get food here, shut the fuck up. That's where adrenaline can come in. And you're going off topic again, Ian. Now that's where the argument towards fasting causes starvation and causes the breakdown of your muscles. There's an element of that, and it is the same sort of daily element that your body has of it wants efficiency, so it wants to break down the large engine. If you have lots of muscles, you have a large engine. That's part of the reason why working out with resistance training can actually be better than cardio. I used to disagree with this loads until I actually found out the science and the logic behind it. It is because having more muscular tissue means that your engine is bigger. A bigger engine burns more fuel. So look it up yourselves, but something called your basal metabolic rate, which is just how much energy you burn naturally walking around, standing there, sitting on a chair, is increased when you have more muscular tissue. Now, the same thing will happen if you're not using your muscles. Your body will break it down. You will have an increase of that slightly when you're fasting. That's where that whole starvation nonsense comes from. So work your body. Work it out smaller than you used to, because you might get zonked with sugar levels dropping down faster than usual. But you should still exercise a form of exercise. You should have a form of exercise every single day while you're fasting. No reason why you shouldn't be able to do a small amount. No reason why you shouldn't do a small amount. So on the days that I didn't actually exercise, there was a very good reason why I wasn't. It was because I was moving house. Moving house, if anyone has ever moved house before, you know it is a wreckhead. It is one of the most stressful things that people actually do within their lives. Moving the stuff itself is hard work. No matter how easy your stuff is, you know, moving furniture is awkward. You gotta have your back like this. You've got to try and be very, use a lot of strength, because you don't want to just plow it through, because then you chip the walls, you break down your furniture. We moved a piano. We moved a giant heavy piano. We had to move it down the stairs. We had to move it back up onto a truck. And then we had to move it a fair amount away back into our house, which involved more stairs and which involved a corner to take. It was a lot of work. And I did that being 5 days into a fast. So your body has the energy to do it. The only reason that I didn't do the fitness classes or running around was that moving the house is, one, exhausting, and two, takes up the whole day. I didn't have time to do something else, but I had the energy to do it. That's what's most important. Now, during the first 2 weeks where I lost 10 kilograms, which again was, half of it was food weight and water weight attached to both of those things. So 5 kilos of body fat, but anyway, I had a break. So it wasn't just having a beer so I could go to sleep and, you know, take a break for that sort of thing and, you know, have a reward system in my own head that I was appealing to. There was a big reward system throughout the period, which was, I think it was actually 3 days, which was the break. The Super Bowl was on. I'm not especially into the NFL. My housemates are, though, so I knew that it would be turned into an event, and chicken wings are involved in it. No, I don't hate the NFL at all. I quite like watching it. So I knew I was going to be a part of it. I knew it was going to be particularly tempting. So I accepted that, and I was like, okay, well, I will get myself involved in that. It's going to be heavy, carby, shitty food. So I needed to be ready for that. My digestive system needed to be back up and running again. You need to stick to this, otherwise you will suffer badly. Okay, it's not just, oh, it's the healthiest form. You have to have small amounts of fruit. You have to have small amounts of fruit over the course of the day. You can't just feed. You will want to, but you'll thank yourself when you don't. The more disciplined you are, the better. Even eating small amounts of food, it can be a little bit uncomfortable when the body starts to reset. So the small amounts of fruit is important. If you want to have a pizza or something high in protein, like a meat source, it's a bad idea. You're gonna have a bad time. It just cramps up your stomach. It doesn't move. It feels like you're unbelievably constipated. Normally when you're eating a gigantic meal, at least some of it will be getting processed. No, your digestive system needs time to ramp up again. So give it time. Have an apple, wait an hour, a good solid hour, drink a lot of water with it as well, then have a second apple. That's hard. The two hardest things when you are doing fasting is often your hunger levels are insanely high for anyone, even for me when I've done this a couple of times. Then it gets to day 2. Day 2 is the very hard one because it's still increasing. After day 2 though, it drops down loads. Day 3 is easier than day 1. I know that sounds funny, but if you experience it, you'll know. Your body just gets used to, oh, we're in this state now. Okay, I'll shut up. Like this is your hunger talking. Originally, I was saying food, but clearly we're in a different place at the moment, so I'm going to stop annoying you and I'm going to let you get on with your day. You still want to eat, but I really do think that it is more to do with the habit of eating. You see other people that are within your house eating. Food is constantly being pushed at us through advertising. It's just something nice. Like, never mind you being hungry. It's just, it's 8 o'clock and I don't get to have my dinner because I'm fasting. It's not nice. It's not a nice thing to avoid. Now, arguably, the second hardest thing is having the severe amount of discipline to break your fast the right way, which is small amounts of fruit. That's not what people would crave. Most people would crave, similar enough to me, the junk food. You crave the high fat, high sugar foods, pizza, chicken wings, like all that sort of thing. You can't. It's hard, but you've got to slowly bring your digestive system into it. I have broken before and broken fast with cookies and meat and all that. You are in bits for ages. I remember a time that I broke my fast because I couldn't sleep that night and I was up for work the next day and I was just like, I need to do what my normal habit is, which is to eat something. I went into the fridge, I just gorged on a load of stuff, and then I was kept up so late because my body was just not ready for that sort of thing, and then it was just, it's not technically constipation, but it's the exact same thing, even though it is similar. It is, you feel heavily constipated because you kind of are. So something that I've actually overlooked that's incredibly important is your motivation. And the easiest way to go through motivation and how to make it better is, one, look up what a SMART goal is. SMART. They all stand for what is a sizable, achievable, blah, 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 blah. Look them up. Look up how to write them down. Look up the differences between them. You might find people who are able to inspire you in some way to do that. More importantly with me is accountability. The easiest way to do accountability when you are doing fasting is that whether you're doing it for weight loss or not, weight loss is involved and it's provable. So take photos of you, your body, put them up the day that you take the photos, put them up and say, I am going on a fast. This is what I weigh now. This is what my intentions are. It's cringy, I know, but it works. It works when you know it's not just going to be a personal loss for something that you're doing yourself, but a reputational loss that I was unable to achieve whatever goal it was that I set out, and everyone knows about it. Everyone knows about it. Hey, Ian, you put up that photo and you didn't have anything. Following up, what was the reason? Why did you do that? Everyone's always going to assume that you didn't achieve it because you're too weak mentally, rather than something that might have happened, probably didn't, but might have happened, where it was like, oh, I put up that thing, and then I bloody well forgot that I'm going to a wedding, or I forgot that I was moving house, whatever. Make sure that you do not have a reason. Don't give yourself the option for excuses. Make sure you get rid of those things, or you don't have those things ahead of you before you start a fast. Also, something that I didn't mention is make sure you get rid of all the food in your house. Make sure you don't have something that's going to be looking at you and tempting you, especially if it's something that's not bad for you. They're the worst. They are the worst, because then you think, oh, those vegetables, they're going to go off unless I eat them now. Get rid of them. Finish them. Have them as your final meal. Do something. If it's going to go off, give it to someone else. I have a dog. That comes in handy because now the dog has nice food. Get rid of them before you start. And put up photos of you with your kid off. All the way off. Every bit. Show me your genitals. Your genitalia. One thing I'll end on that has just popped into my head. When you break the fast and you are looking to, you're doing it for weight loss, you can't just go back on a shitty diet because it will bounce back. Once you have massively lowered your daily intake, your body will want to put more fat back on straight away, because it will have the thought of, we have been dealing with a famine, so we need to make sure that we store the next amount of food. So your discipline can't stop there. If anything, you need to really work on your diet and make sure that you are not losing further weight, but that the food that you're ingesting is healthy food. So you gotta stay off the pizza, you gotta stay off the burgers, the chicken wings, the chips, you gotta stay off that for a little while. Then your body will normalize and you can start sort of balancing bad food with lots of exercise, and it won't have the same amount of effect where you'll just blimp back on. So be strict with yourself if you are doing this for body weight only. So I think that's a good way to say that at this point I reckon I'm talking shite. So if you have any questions, or if I come up with anything else, I doubt it, but I might make a second video explaining things into a bit more detail. But if you have any questions about my experience, or maybe some science behind it, I may not know the information myself, but I might be able to point you in the direction of someone who knows detail about the thing that you are asking about, because I have revised what they've done. And I go, oh, that person over there, yeah, they know what they're talking about with that sort of thing. I didn't look into it because it wasn't something that I personally wanted to do. They know more about the 5-2 diet. They know more about, like, you know, intermittent fasting, whereas I focused on the long-term water cycles. Oh, you want to know about the not water cycle, where it's like similar to Ramadan? Well, you look up this person. Again, interesting stuff to look into, but I didn't personally know about it. That's why I didn't mention it. But there's a lot of research on Ramadan, and benefits are apparently even better than a water fast. But you look it up yourself. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, or again, if you want to ask questions about me personally, like and comment. You know yourself. This is YouTube. The way to boost things, the way to think better, is to always do that sort of jazz. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be more interested in further things to do with fasting. I don't know how much I'm going to focus on that in the future, but you can always ask questions about it. One thing that is definitely happening more so now is, now that we've moved into the new house, is there's going to be fitness classes, and I'm going to be able to do them starting off examples, and then further on live streaming of fitness classes, because we have a bigger house. We can do it at different angles. So again, if you want to follow that sort of thing, you're more interested in your fitness, you're more interested in your losing your body weight or body fat, follow the channel. But like I've been saying, if you are not underweight, you should really do this around once a year. And I think the light turning off is also a good sign that that's a good time to cut this shit off. And remember, if you don't like cancer, even if you don't want to give money to the donations that are associated with everything to do with my channel, liking, subscribing, and leaving comments helps. So be lazy. If you want to cure cancer, you know what to do.
pain. No pain. No pain.